Hello and welcome back to Rose Red Studios, where we talk about all things storytelling. This is part 2 of a series of videos I'm doing on how to create a Webtoons comic start to finish. So a comic that you can create and then upload onto the Webtoons platform. I'm going to throw in how to do the Tapas platform as well, since it's pretty similar. This is primarily if you're thinking about doing a Webtoons comic and creating that really unique file format they have, where you scroll through the comics instead of like a traditional web comic where you're just seeing everything at once, or a traditional readable comic. Webtoons is all about being scrollable. So in part 1, which we posted last month, we walk through step by step creating those filed images. And again, I use Procreate and I work off an iPad Pro, but there are a lot of ways that you can create that long format image that we then are going to take into the scroll. This month, we are going to talk about how to take that imagery and convert it into a format that you can then upload into the Webtoons or Tapas platform. And I'm going to walk you through that and uploading to the different systems so that we can go start to finish. You can create your Webtoons and get started today. It's actually a pretty simple process. The biggest part of it is the drawing of it and the writing of the story. So if you've got those two things down, then it's really easy to transfer it and then become a Webtoons. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is export our drawing files that I showed you how to make in the previous video. So we're just going to select them and we're going to export them as PNG. I like to do PNG for this because it's just like kind of the highest quality. Airdrop that over to your computer, or if you're working off of a PC, however you get things over to your computer. I'm also at this point going to go ahead and back this up and export a Procreate file. That way, if anything happens to my iPad in the meantime, I have the Procreate file that I can then transfer to a new iPad. Just an extra bit that is good to do. All right, here we go. Next, we're going to go to a website called Croppy. I just Google Croppy for comics to make sure I go to the correct one. This is a great free website that will format any of your files correctly so they can be uploaded. You'll notice I selected both Webtoons and Tapas. Webtoons I consider to be my primary platform and where I direct people most. I do have it on Tapas just in case somebody wants to read it there. But I don't feel like that's the best platform. It's not what I'm happiest with. But I just do it just in case. You never know. It's great to have your webcomic wherever you can. I'm leaving this on for the entire time so that you can get an idea of how long it takes for it to actually upload. So it just sends me to a place to download this. Then I am just going to create a folder. Now, you want to go through and just look and see. I will note, do not judge the quality of your image based off of what you're seeing on the screen right now. You are seeing a somewhat downgraded version that's just for preview. So if it looks a bit fuzzy, don't panic. That's not what it's going to look like in your actual webcomic. I do always just run through at this point to make sure, like, are there any spelling areas that I just didn't see when I was scrolling? Have I left any of the spacer bars? Anything like that. Next, we are going to create a thumbnail. I have the actual sizes that both places want in the comics, the description of this video. However, what I like to do is just create a square. I select the image that I decide I'm going to use for the thumbnail. And I will say at this point, have your image backed up before you do this. Because one time I cropped out the actual comic. Fortunately, I had it backed up so I could go back and restore it. But this is a good thing to have in advance backed up. If you'll notice, I went to Canvas and turned on the drawing guide. And so I could like judge a good square shape. And then I went to Canvas and I hit crop. And that is what I am doing right now. And I get very fussy about this. This is sometimes a very nitpicky thing, mostly because of Tapas. Webtoons if you upload something that's not a perfect square, it's going to just size it. It'll look a bit wonky, so you don't really want that, but it's not going to freak out if it's not a perfect square. Tapas tends to freak out if it's not a perfect square. And sometimes it's very hit and miss. I'm not sure exactly what causes it to miss, because sometimes it'll be like, I'm doing the same thing every time, Tapas. And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it doesn't. So I do try to just get the best I can, perfect square, and go through and delete all of this other stuff that we've cropped out. We're going to export it, and for this, it's really important to export it as a JPEG. A PNG will create too large of a file to be uploaded either to Webtoons or Tapas. They have a file limit. Again, I'll have that in the comment section, but if you put it in a JPEG, you are just fine with that. So next, we are going to, apparently I hadn't downloaded it yet. Okay, exporting to JPEG, sending computer. Next, we are going to actually upload it to Webtoons. You have to create an account, obviously. You're going to go to your dashboard. I see that I actually still have more to do. One moment, please, while I rename this folder. Okay, now we're going to go to your dashboard. I'm going to click Add Episode. I'm going to put your title in. Webtoons, I like to just write out the actual episode number. This is usually the phase where I realize I can't remember what I named that particular episode. So I just do a quick reference. This one is called Service Dog. She thinks we're in service to her. Next, all you need to do is grab those files you made from Croppy and just drag and drop them right into the screen. They upload pretty quickly. This is not, unless you have a much larger file size, which is possible if you're doing a narrative one, it might take longer. Obviously mine's slice of life, so it's shorter. Just drag and drop your thumbnail right there. There's this little space for comments. I just write a little reference to whatever we're talking about just for the fun of it. That's not necessary, but I like to do it. Next, always preview. So this is preview what it looks like on a PC or like an iPad. It'll look similar. Always take a look at this. Double check again if you have a spacer, if you're spelling errors. I like any opportunity to double check something. And it also this is where you can tell, like, how is it going to look on these things, and is it going to look good? Like if it's blurry in this section, then you have a problem. We need to go back and look at your file type. But this is a good way to just judge, like, how is it going to look to people who are reading it. I'm going to schedule this for later. You can post it immediately. This just lets me do it so that I can get on in the morning, publish it. And you can schedule multiple episodes in a row if you would like to do that. I tend to do one at a time just because I don't want to do more. But you can do multiples. So there we go. We are scheduled to run. Next, let's do Tapas. Very similar. Just click Add an Episode. I will note on this one time I had it where the images that I downloaded from Croppy, you can see here, just scheduling. Anyway, the images I downloaded from Croppy for some reason were causing an error and saying that they weren't perfectly cut. So in that case, I just dropped in the Webtoons files to see what would happen, and it worked. So I'm not even sure you really need to download for both Tapas and Webtoons. I just do it just because. But if it's not working for Tapas, like the folders you create for Tapas on Croppy, give it a shot doing the Webtoons ones. This is the only difference really between the two programs. Tapas has you do this extra little highlight from the comics. You just have to click through until you find one that looks right. Drag and drop, hold your breath. It actually worked this time. Again, I'm not sure what causes it not to work, but this program is just a little fussier than Webtoons, which is why I get a little frustrated with it. They do have this section to add tags. From what I can tell, it doesn't make much help for it, but you can use it if you want. You just type in whatever tag you think might work. Again, we want to preview just to make sure that everything looks right. I do think that Tapas loads a bit differently, so it's good to make sure the quality works on this end as well. It's looking pretty good for the full-size PC. Again, it's probably what it's look like on the iPad. Do a double check of the mobile. And that is pretty much it, guys. This is the start to finish part 2. And you can see it's pretty straightforward. Just a lot of nitpicky little things. Again, I will put in the comments all the file sizes that you'll need to know. But other than that, let me know if this has helped. If you are doing your own comic, drop me the name of your comic in your comments. I'd love to read it.